Hi, I'm Milton Rendell and welcome to Real News Friday. Been another big week in real estate in terms of sales, 1,121 sales out there in the market. Now, a lot of that was driven by land sales. Land sales were up 58% in the last week, so that's obviously pushed it along. So obviously a project of some nature has been released and that sort of boosts things along. Now, in terms of stock, there's 7,803, which is obviously below that 8,000 mark now, and that's getting in pretty tight sort of territory. Stock levels are down 1% on what they were a week ago, 2% down on what they were a month ago, and 2% lower than what they were 12 months ago. So it's a pretty tight market. In terms of rentals, 2,163 rentals available at the moment. That's down about 2% on what it was a week ago, and that's down about 8% on a month ago, and 22% down on a year ago. So rental market still remains to be low. Now, every week seems to be new challenges within our world, and being more closer to home, our major challenges within our Australian economy will be the Queensland and New South Wales floods, which will impact us in some way or form. Now, I've had this discussion with a few guys in the last week or so, and one of the interesting ones, that the topic that pops up a lot, is people are talking about the migration across to Western Australia. Now, we've opened our borders. Will that happen? Is it going to be as dramatic as our state governments believe it'll be? I think we're going to have to sit back and measure that carefully over the next 3 months, because now obviously Queensland and New South Wales will be in a rebuild stage. Possibly some of the trades that would have or may have considered coming across to Western Australia will probably stay back in places like Queensland and New South Wales, because it's going to be challenged to the building industry. Why? So many homes have been devastated over in those areas. There's going to be plenty of work, and there's going to be probably excess amount of work on the east coast, which may stop some migration across to Western Australia. But nothing to support that. I just believe that's the logic of it. So I think the building industry in Western Australia is not going to see any relief in the next couple of years due to what's happened on the east coast. Now, that'll then get back to how much the federal government allows for immigration. So we'll see what happens. Got to keep in mind we've got a federal election happening in May, so those policy changes won't be swift. So we could be 12 to 18 months before we start getting the numbers of people, the number of trades into our country that we require to do what needs to be done in Australia, let alone what's happening with the Ukraine. So we've got a real mixed bag out there. It's not negative on it, I just think we've got to be real about it. There's still talk of inflation hitting as well, and I think that's going to be one of the big topics for the next probably 3 months because of oil and things like that. Petrol prices, as we all know, are going through the roof. So we'll see what happens, but I think we're going to have a couple of months of settling. So the market in itself still seems to be pushing along regardless of all these factors. So, and I can't see it slowing down a lot, but I think we may have some deviations. I think probably the building industry is going to be hit more than the real estate side. Why? Because the cost of goods to transport, finding trades, etc. So the building industry, I think, may still have a hell of a whack happening that will be in the future. So that'll put pressure back to established real estate, and it'll put pressure back to rentals. So it'll probably it'll make our market maybe maintain longer than we anticipate. We will see. I'm just Milton from Midland. But now the other thing, some statistics come out. I love statistics when they come out from Real Estate Institute and other people. They can make figures look like anything. So I always like to try and grab some figures that are interesting. So excuse me putting my glasses on because I'm blind as a bat. So these are some statistics coming out of the Real Estate Institute WA about median prices in 2021. Now this is about how much growth there's been in certain suburbs in the last 20 years, and they've put it into the top 20 for Western Australia. So I'll just quickly read them out. I probably won't do all of them. I'll just give you sort of a random sample. Number one suburb was Willetton. Had growth in the last 20 years of 356%. Sounds pretty spectacular. Now, then we look at Pinjarra, which was number 3, was 337%. That's from its median price 20 years ago of 80,000 is now 349,500. So that's an interesting one. And Shenton Park's another interesting one. Median price was 380,000. Now, if you live in Shenton Park, it apparently is now 1.651 million. That's a hell of a move. Moving further down, areas like Claremont, you would expect 7. That's number 7. Its growth of 314%. Then we go to Woodbridge. This is an interesting, something local. Number 10 has gone from 150,000 to 614,000, growth of 309%. And then we stick to something that's also local. We're looking at South Guildford coming in at number 15, growth 300%. 20 years ago it was 147,500, now 590,000, and going local again. Number 18 is Darlington. Now we go back 20 years ago, it was $261 apparently was your median price. Now it is 800,000. And finishing off at the bottom of the 20 is Cottesloe. It's gone from 645,000 to 2.55 million. Only up 295%. Sorry about that, Cottesloe. But anyway, some of that, more of that information, want to have a look at it, check out the reward.com site. There's a lot of good articles in there, and that's where we get a lot of our information from. A couple of other quick things just also to announce. We've continued our support to the Swan District Football Club. We've been a sponsor there for quite a few years now, and we've just committed to, or recommitted to next season. We've also sponsored a couple of other small things within the club as well. We've also announced we've got a sponsorship also coming up with the Ellenbrook Football, the Ellenbrook Football Club as well. As well as we've got our football tipping competition. That's why the footy in the background, just as a reminder. If you were involved in our AFL football tipping competition last year, please rejoin us. It was a lot of fun. There's some good prizes to be won, but more importantly, you can start competing with some mates and say how good you are at footy tipping. Me, I'm useless, but look, I make up the numbers like everybody else. So on the positive side, we've got football's just around the corner. I'm a big AFL fan, and the NRL is starting as well for the NRL fans that are out there. You will all be very excited. Don't forget, Plus Loans also has its competition as well, so make sure you log into that if you've done that in the past. In terms of what's happening in the local real estate market, we're still finding buyer inquiry very, very strong, and that seems to be continuing. Our home open numbers are still fairly strong as into people coming through. The main thing at the moment, if you are someone who is thinking about selling now or in the next 12 months, it's good to start doing your homework, and please do not hesitate to call any of our teams, and we'll be happy to sit down and have a chat and give you a guide of where the market is, what it may be doing, and certainly for landlords out there, we're more than happy to talk to plenty of new landlords and our current landlords on where we think the market is going there. Rents are on the increase, but selection of tenant is always very, very important. It's not always about the return. It is about the quality of the tenant as well, and that's a very important part of what real estate agents do. Anyway, rather than waffling any longer, all the best. Have a good weekend. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.